Ah,
exquisite parks, national parks,
yeah.
And the Green River.
and the
There is
Colorado, yeah, and Arches Monument.
yeah, Lion.
Tom,
Oh,
are we
yeah.
working on corpus time, or do
Yeah,
we give this a few minutes?
It's noon now, so we'll just
Are there
keep
people waiting to get in?
not at the moment. I've got them all. Well, I just one person. How come I don't have? This is really weird. Okay, so I've got. I'm gonna put you on spotlight there,
Okay.
Alan.
Well, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us. It's the first event today in the People's Poetry Festival, and the theme of our panel is hope, and I will get to hope, but Sally Rhodes, a friend in Albany who is in the audience, just asked how we got along last week, and I wrote a poem about it that I wanted to start today's reading with. And a quick note: the first two times the word poetry appears in this poem, it's in italics, and I think you'll know why. To build a fire. With the power out on a frigid night, I learned poetry burns bright. Flush with timber, but short on kindling, a near ancient 10-year run of poetry sat on a dusty shelf. The greats Hugo, Wilbur, Pinsky, Rich and Low took to flame. Pages curling, turning black, their flames licking oak logs, issue after issue piled on the pyre of effort and genius, until the logs took and the warmth oozed from the fireplace. Blood and feeling returned to our fingers and feet. Poetry reminded us again how oddly great it is to be human. Um, so hope is the thing that pushes us forward, and it has a wicked stepsister, delusion, that pushes us over. And I'm going to read two quick poems and then get on to our panelists, uh, who are probably the reason you guys are here today. So this is an old poem. It's called Home for the Holidays. And the word early in the poem is lemmings. It's the little animal that runs off of cliffs. It's not the fruit lemon, okay? Which is often heard by people in the audience. Home for the holidays. In large, mindless herds, recklessly speeding, forgetting lessons won, heeding poor instincts at great cost, we, the prodigal lemmings, find ourselves jetting back to revisit the cliffs with our baggage, to exchange season's greeting, to be rebound by bonds we once escaped. Some left through dumb luck, and others left through the clever use of retro rockets engineered to break falling weight. Some evolved mutant parachutes, but we all landed on our feet miles from our fate. Yet each year we fall back into step, bearing our gifts as we drag reluctant mates and kids back past the blood-stained crags, not caring about their fears. Like Pandora, we unlid well-wrapped boxes and chests, as if daring genetics in the past to bring their worst, because hope always remains like a curse. And I guess the most famous mention of hope in a poem is by Emily Dickinson, which she says hope is a feathered thing. And in response, I wrote this poem because it always seems a hope is in the future. Wings, not feathers, Emily. Hope flitters in front of us, blinking bright neon green, seemingly out of reach. then captured in the cup of a child's uncalloused hands, placed in a mason jar, filling the night with magical light. Hope captured does not last. The morning after finds entwined corpses of fireflies thrown from glass to grass. But then comes the cool summer night. And with that, a little introduction to Hope. We'll get on to our three fine visiting poets who I'm very grateful are here today. The first is Alex Salinas. And Alex, I forgot to ask you, man, you were born in Corpus, right? Or you grew up in Corpus?
Born in Corpus, grew up there, went to Tolosa Midway
Oh,
for a
right.
little while until we
A
moved to San
warrior.
Antonio. There you go.
Well, Alex was born in Corpus, but he lives up in the big city of San Antonio now. He's the author of 2 full collections of poems, and go out and get them. They're fantastic. Warbles and Dreamt. And somebody out there who can speak Greek could help me out. The publisher is HEKATE Publishing. When I pronounce it, I sound like an old jazzer. Hey, cat. But I don't know if that's right or not. He holds an MA in English from St. Mary's, where he's in San Antonio, where he's currently employed as well. When we put this festival together, one of the ideas was to bring varied and new voices to a wider audience. We're really excited to have Alex Salinas here today. And I'm gonna stop talking so we can listen to his wonderful poetry.
Thank you, Alan. I'm honored to be here with Ken and Dorothy. And also, Alan, just a special shout out to you. I'm here because of you. And because my parents both went to Del Mar for a little while, I thought to reach out back when the pandemic started. That's how we connected. So thank you again. With that, I'll get started. I'm going to read a couple of poems from the 2 books, and then I'll try out some new ones. So, yeah. This first one is called Connect 4. It's a memory of my grandmother, and this one actually takes place in Corpus. So, Connect 4. When I was 8 or 9 years old, my parents in the summer dropped me off at my grandparents' house on Camargo Street. It had a little brown roof and a basketball pelted garage door. The house sat across from an old dirt field where baseball was once played by my older brothers and cousins. My grandma would either be in her tiny kitchen, making fresh tortillas with lard, slapping the dough with her small blue veiny hands, or in her bedroom that smelled of incense and gardenias, lying down to Telemundo. My grandpa would either be in the cramped living room watching Lucha Libre wrestling, drinking Milwaukee from the can, or off somewhere else, most likely smoking in solitude. The days were long then. Every so often, my grandma retrieved Connect 4 from her closet and shook the box, clanking the little plastic pieces to let me know it was game time. It was magic to my ears. I'd always lose. For a transplant from Walawisis, where Cabeza de Vaca once stepped foot and showed the benevolence of God to the dark-skinned natives, my homebody grandma was sharp as a dagger. We wouldn't talk during our matches, as if the yellow Swiss cheese wall of Connect 4 between us had reached out and pinched our tongues. But the truth was, I couldn't speak Spanish. After my grandma won, she released the red and black checker pieces, which came crashing down hard onto the dining table. Chiquito, the ever annoying Chihuahua, barked like mad. My grandma cackled like an old lady. I'd stare at her dentures, a little frightened, but then remember to laugh too. At some point, we reinserted the chips and played again. This next piece, it's called Salt. And this was actually the very first poem I had published. I wrote it in a graduate program uh, while I was at St. Mary's in a workshop. And it was published first in the San Antonio Express here, the San Antonio Express newspaper, where I also was once employed and worked as a reporter for a few years. So, Salt. I'd read once that Salinas, the surname that graces every form of my identity, was born in the salt mines of old Spain, where many men surely perished. My Uncle Henry, though I'd call him Theo, was a Salinas if there ever was one, the salt so strong in his blood, you could almost taste it when the spit from his drunken mouth landed on your lips when he talked up close to you. At that point, though, it was better to let it sit, to ignore, than wipe the spittle off, or else. When he was in those dark moods, those frequent dark drinking moods, and the spit from his mouth flowed free, I reminded myself to listen, laugh, nod my head, listen. And remember that as much as our lives were different, as much as our paths out of the mines were not the same, we were of the same salt and blood. Thank you all. And then the last one I'll read from Warbles, and here's the cover. I know Alan was looking for it. This is actually me. This was taken when I was visiting my uncle and cousin in Corpus, and there's this stretch of road coming back to San Antonio. There was a rainstorm coming. I did something dangerous. I pulled out my phone and took a picture, and I just had this crazy idea in my head that if I ever write a first collection, that was going to be the cover. So it really is an homage to the land. This last one I'll read from Warbles, called The Great Thing About Being Sometimes Hispanic. The part when I infiltrate the imperialist hive, but not the part when my wings fall off. The part when I afford to shop at Target, but not the part when I still eat Taco Bell. The part when my skin looks white, but not the part when it tans after a hike. The part when I speak un poquito Spanish, but not the part when I can't understand grandma. The part when I earn a college degree, but not the part when I can barely pay for it. The part when I have many brothers and sisters, but not the part when there are 3 mothers. The part when my father pronounces chair, share, but not the part when we laugh at him. The part when I am mistaken for full white, but not the part when my name sounds full brown. The part when I am blessed with rhythm, but not the part when I hate to dance. The part when I got it going on in my pants, but not the part when I can't keep it in. The part when I dreamt I was white, but not the part when I opened my eyes. The part when I dream I am Hispanic, but not the part when I open my eyes. Those are the first 3 that I have from Warbles, so thank you all for listening to those. These next few that I have are from the second collection, Dreamt, or the Lingering Phantoms of Equinox. And shout out to Lisa Oakes, a painter friend of mine who painted this and gave me permission to use it. So these are a little stranger, I'd say, a little less personal, but they're more into the kind of the dream world. So this first one is called Moon. And I reference a writer, Jorge Luis Borges, famous Argentinian, one of the best writers and